My name is Tahirih Vejdani, and I played the role of Shriyani in Receiver. It was really interesting to me to see this really strong South Asian character kind of be the central focus of this short film. I myself am of half South Indian heritage. My mother is from India, from Karnataka. And so I have that experience to be from an immigrant family living in Canada, which is part of Shriyani and her character and backstory.
So I'm Sri Lankan Canadian. My mother was born in Sri Lanka, emigrated to Canada when she was 16, and there were very few examples of Sri Lankan Canadians in the media. This was now a chance that I could bring some of my own thoughts about my heritage onto the screen. You know, there hasn't really been anybody quite like Shriyani at the head of a psychological horror film.
I have never read a script that is in the genre of like a sci-fi horror that centered around a Sri Lankan woman. So that was like very exciting because I don't typically get to see those roles or act in those roles. This was like an exploration of identity, but not through a traditional lens of being someone who's, you know, like stuck between two worlds or like the happy immigrant story. It was a very like darker and a different approach, which was exciting.
So I worked very closely with our production designer, Jennifer Tam, on how to achieve just the right level of Sri Lankan art and Sri Lankan culture in the background of Shriyani's apartment. We didn't want to put up a Sri Lankan flag that was up on a back wall. We didn't want to be obvious with it. We wanted the chance to add texture to it.
It was always really important that the Sri Lankan heritage of the main character tie into her living space. So I wanted to make sure that those elements were present and very authentic. Cavan also really helped out in that area as he loaned a lot of his own personal items.
Jennifer and I came up with a rule that basically anything that we found that could not be sourced directly to Sri Lanka, we would not use. She had all of that figured out, and I think we made a really great team. I was able to source all of the authentic Sri Lankan artifacts and art, and she found the right way to deploy them in a way that said subtle, very interesting, very true things about who Shriyani is as a character.